moving on. In fact, let's go back. Let's go back to 2020. 53 innocent lives were lost in the riots that broke out in the heart of India's national capital. Over 200 were left injured, and there was an atmosphere of fear and terror in Delhi. The police even claimed that this violence was part of an organized regime change operation, a planned conspiracy to destabilize the country using the issue of CAA. However, today the Congress is shedding tears for the man who has been accused of inciting the riots. Even as the investigation continues in the matter, senior Congress leader Digvijaya Singh has already given Umar Khalid a clean chit. For Digvijaya Singh, Umar Khalid is an innocent man. He is a PhD scholar and hence he is not a traitor. That's the justification from the Congress leader to demand Umar Khalid's immediate release. While it is true that Umar Khalid has not yet been convicted for the crimes that he's been accused of, the question is, why is the Congress giving a clean chit even before the probe is complete? After all, the police has called this a conspiracy to strike at the heart of the nation's sovereignty. BJP today is citing this statement from the Congress leader to call out their tukde mindset. BJP accuses the Congress of pandering to terrorists and anti-nationals, and also reminds of how even the man behind the 9/11 attacks was once called Osama bin Laden G by leaders of the Congress party.
टुकड़े टुकड़े गैंग के सरगना आपको प्यारे लगते हैं? दुर्भाग्य है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी जो कभी उसामा बिन लादेन जैसे अंतर्राष्ट्रीय आतंकवादी को उसामा जी कहती है, हाफिज सईद जैसे हत्यारे को हाफिज सईद साहब कहती है और आतंकियों के लिए रेड कार्पेट बिछाती है।
निश्चित तौर पे ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग हैं जिनको, चाहे महाराष्ट्र के दलित समाज के लोग हों, चाहे जेएनयू के छात्र हों, खासकर मुस्लिम समुदाय के लोग हों, उनके साथ बीजेपी के लोगों ने लगातार अन्याय किया है। विपक्ष लगातार आवाज उठा रहा है और सबको लड़ना पड़ेगा इस आताताई सरकार से।
You're watching the News Hour at 9, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let's go across to our guests. We're joined by Siddharth Yadav, national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Activist Sushil Pandit joins us on the panel. Ashwini Kumar Mishra continues to be with us. We also have Syed Asad Abbas, political analyst. Good evening to all of you. Ashwini Kumar Mishra, the first question is to you. On what basis is Digvijaya Singh giving this clean chit to Umar Khalid? Why can't he wait for the court to do that?
Swati, there are two fundamental principles of natural justice. One is justice delayed is justice denied, and other is injustice anywhere is threat to justice everywhere. If you combine these two fundamental principles of natural justice, you will see that a person is held captive without given a fair trial. So that itself raises the intent of the government who's supposed to put a person into a trial. If you have enough evidence against someone, give it a fair trial, let court decide. But how can you hold a person captive for 5 years? How can you hold a person captive for 5 years where our IPC, which is BNS, now allow that only for 90 days in most of the cases? So 90 days versus 5 years.
No, once again, who's obstructing justice? Since we know that there are serious charges involved, can I just stress on this? Section 43D(5) of UAPA restricts bail. Courts cannot release an accused if there are reasonable grounds to believe the accusations are prima facie true. The court, on the issue of long custody that you just mentioned, this is a section that clarifies that just because the custody is long does not mean that it's a fit case for bail. If there are serious serious charges involved. So who's obstructing justice?
It is the current government which is obstructing the justice, because it is prolonging the custody by asking for more times on the inquiry itself. How can someone not complete an inquiry in last 5 years?
Why isn't the court pulling them up? Why isn't the court pulling the current establishment, the authorities, the police officers? Why isn't the court releasing Umar Khalid?
You just mentioned the law which court follows. Court is essentially the one who interprets the law. Court cannot create their own laws. Court has to follow the law.
इसको बोलते हैं हिंदी में चित भी मेरी और पट भी मेरी.
नहीं, it is not चित भी मेरी.
ये चित भी मेरी और पट भी मेरी है.
It is very important. अगर आपको लगता है कि कोई आदमी कल्प्रिट है तो उसको फेयर ट्रायल का मौका दो. कल्प्रिट हो तो उसको लगता है तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
Is the court denying fair trial? Is the court denying fair trial?
5 साल, अगर आप किसी आदमी को 5 साल जेल में रखो और उसका ट्रायल भी शुरू मत करो, कोर्ट कैसे ट्रायल का ऑर्डर देगा जब बार बार गवर्नमेंट बोलती रहेगी कि उनको फर्दर टाइम चाहिए, इंक्वायरी के लिए. कोर्ट इफ यू सबमिट
गवर्नमेंट को अल्टीमेटम दे सकता है कि आप ट्रायल शुरू करो. Court has that power. Court can pull up the authorities and the government and issue ultimatums.
Court can do that, but government can again request based on the legislation drafted.
Which means the court is finding some merit in that argument, perhaps to allow that to continue?
Swati, the rule you just mentioned allow government to prolong the cases as long as they can. It is into their
and
hands.
The courts are
They
just
can
sitting
do
there
that.
as mute spectators.
Because
Okay,
court
wonderful
has to
for the
follow
current
the- court has
establishment,
to
Siddharth
follow the-
Yadav. Court is just a mute spectator. आप लीजिए जितना time आपको लेना है. In any which case, you are acting with an ill intent, is the allegation?
No, Swati, who decides that? Would the court decide that, or the Congress party, or Ashwani ji, or people who sit on national television to spread false propaganda would decide that? Who decides a fair trial? Who would decide that the courts are acting in the wise manner or not? Let me just sum it up, and I'll give you one argument. And all the propaganda which was being given by Ashwani ji will be, you know, he's going to be bound to withdraw all of that. Umar Khalid has withdrawn his bail application more than 10 times. 10 times. Has the government asked him to do so? Has the courts have asked him to do so? He is trying for bench hunting. He is trying to, you know, get the right time. He knows that there are so many incriminating material against him. There is such a big prima facie case which is made out against him. He knows that he can't get the bail, and that's why when he files, he withdraws after that. And you are telling me that there is no fair trial? Who decides that?
Even after
and
5 years, you are using the word prima facie. That means your intent is
I was
ill.
not speaking while you were speaking.
No, Siddharth,
Don't
understand.
act like a goon on national
television.
television.
Ashwani ji, be fair, be fair, be fair, be fair. Ashwani ji, be fair. Allow him to finish his point. Be fair.
Swati, my simple point is, what about the justice for the people who lost their lives? What about that justice? So many people lost their lives. Policemen were brutally murdered. They were thrown in the drains. People were bombing, throwing petrol bombs, stones, pelting stones from their houses. More than 60 people lost their lives, so many of them injured. It's such a massive case. The conspiracy was so big. The charge sheet which now has been filed shows that what was the intent, and this was going on for so long.
So then, Siddharth, the question is, why is it taking so long for the case to reach a logical conclusion? It happened in 2020. 2025 is also ending. So where is you know, the delay, the angle of delay coming in? Or whose part actually? Who's delaying?
No, Swati, I don't think there is any kind of delay. The kind of charge sheet that is being filed and the kind of interrogation that's happening, the number of people that have been interrogated in this case, the number of people that were taken into custody, the number of testimonies and depositions that have been taken to make it a case is something which is going to be in the record for a very long time.
Okay.
It is going to be for legal students to study. And there is no iota of doubt that a prima facie case is made out in this. A prima facie case was established before a court of law, and only then the court allowed this to happen.
Okay.
We have to understand that we, all prosecuting authorities or any establishment in our country, works according to the rules and procedures and are bound by the courts of law. If the court is allowing that, who will
All right. Let me bring in Sushil Pandit, please. Yes, let me please bring in Sushil Pandit. Sushil Pandit, is this just about an individual, Digvijaya Singh, who's made such statements in the past as well? Or is it, like the BJP is saying, the larger plot, which is the tukde mind? So there's a habit of always making such statements and the party distancing, but secretly also agreeing to it.
I agree with you, Swati Joshi, that this is a case of history repeating itself. Digvijaya Singh is the same gentleman who, within months of Mumbai tragedy of 2008, gave a clean chit to Pakistan by releasing a book which said this was a conspiracy by RSS. This is 2008 Mumbai carnage that took place on 26th of November. This is the gentleman. So what credibility does he have when he takes up cudgels on behalf of such terrorists, such malcontents, such rioters who have very patently organized this riot and inflicted more than 54 deaths on Delhi right when Trump was visiting us? Number two, I heard the Congress spokesperson say about justice delayed and justice denied. Not a single murderer of Kashmiri Hindus in Kashmir since last 36 years has faced any trial. It is 35 years since Yasin Malik is facing a trial in Tada court for murdering Air Force officers. Squadron leader Ravi Khanna and his 4 colleagues. Why isn't he talking about those issues? Why is it so selective that their heart bleeds for terror suspects, for rioters, that they should be quickly dispensed justice with, but not those victims and survivors who are waiting since the genocide of 1990. Such double standards need to be exposed. Such selective standards need to be exposed, and Congress has always been found on the wrong side. Always. Always. And every time.
Syed Asad Abbas, double standard. Congress's heart beats for, like Sushil Pandit says, he accuses that it is for terrorists and anti-nationals.
The fact of the matter is that even Mr. Sushil Pandit cannot deny is that Umar Khalid holds a doctorate in history. In the words of Digvijaya Singh.
Are we discussing that? His educational background?
I will tell you why. Because these are the words of Digvijaya Singh, who said exactly the statement that Umar Khalid holds a doctorate in history. He's a highly educated.
Nobody has a problem with Digvijaya Singh saying that he's a PhD holder. Nobody has a problem with that. The problem is when he goes ahead and pronounces him innocent and says, "Isko jaldi se bahar nikaliye jail se, release him immediately."
The fact of the matter, let us understand, why hasn't Umar Khalid's trial begun? The Supreme Court always holds that bail is a right, jail is an exception. But what has been granted, why has he not been granted this right? His hearings proceed, judges continually postpone the dates. The date was yesterday, but it was postponed. Let us understand, those who are in power today influence such decisions, and because of this, he's not even getting what he deserves.
No, but Syed Asad Abbas, why do you forget what the High Court said while denying bail to Sharjeel? And the court spoke about the magnitude of the case. You may find merit in what Siddharth Yadav just said about the fact that the charge sheet runs into 3,000 pages with additional 30,000 pages of electronic evidence. And also what I just said, at the start of the debate, that grant of bail on sole ground of long incarceration and delay in trial cannot be universally applicable in all the cases.
Swati ji, let us also understand the Delhi police also noted that Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam were cahooting together for a regime change operation. इन दोनों की उतनी औकात नहीं है कि वो regime ही change करते हैं. This is absolute joke and mockery of the system. How can these two change the likes of Modi and Amit Shah?
वो कैसे करेंगे वही तो?
Absolute mockery, I'd say.
Just because you feel, अभी मैं उस शब्द का औकात जैसी शब्दों में मैं नहीं जाना चाहती हूँ, उनके एजुकेशनल बैकग्राउंड में भी मैं नहीं जा रही हूँ. Just because you have a PhD degree does not mean you can be a mastermind of a crime. Does not mean कि आप conspiracy hatch नहीं कर सकते हैं. And also for a person to hatch conspiracy, उसको crime scene में बैठा होना भी जरूरी नहीं है. But just because you believe so, the courts won't act on individual beliefs.
Do you really think, Swati ji, that Umar Khalid can change the whole regime?
Who am I? No, once again, who am I to pass a judgment on that or give my views on that?
Yes, Swati ji.
No.
My point.
The same law applies to me as well. If I am questioning why is Digvijaya Singh saying that Umar Khalid is innocent, that law applies to me as well. I can't be sitting here giving my views on do I think Umar Khalid can do this or not. Siddharth Yadav.
I'm very sorry, Swati, but I need to remind my learned friend of what these guys were capable of. Do not forget what Sharjeel Imam said at the national capital. हमें नॉर्थ ईस्ट को काट करके, चिकन नेट को काट करके भारत से अलग करना है. चिकन नेट को काट करके भारत से अलग करना है. These people were conspirating together to break India. This was the tukde gang. They went on full on to bring division in our country, to break it into pieces, into parts. They were conspirating for a very large plan which is now hashed. All of that is now out in open, and he wants to innocently sit on TV and ask, क्या वो कर सकते थे? क्या उमर खालिद ऐसा काम कर सकता था? This is for the courts to decide, sir.
Also, whether they were capable of doing that or not, I don't know. But then why make such statements with what intention? Why make such statements with what intention to flaunt that PhD degree? The courts will ultimately decide. So I leave it at that. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.